Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today on this live webinar Wednesday at noon Eastern Time? If you're out there, throw out some questions, throw out some chat, and I'll be chatting it up with you the whole time. So let me know if I can hear you. Okay, cool. Cool. Aloha from Hawaii. Awesome. That's from May. Good to see you on. We got a lot of people on, and it's growing all the time. So hope everybody's doing well. I'm really excited today because I've got a great guy on the line today. As you all know, we've been letting you know this week. I've got a great guy on the line. His name is Anthony Ricciardo, and Anthony has a company called Blue Clover Financial. And the biggest thing that people ask me about is, where do I get the money? Where do I get the money? See, people are so afraid of making offers because their biggest fear is, hey, what if they say yes? So today, Anthony's going to show you all about how to get the money. And yes, he has a service that he offers that, which is great because it's going to be a source for you to go out and find and get the money. So before I introduce Anthony, I just want to tell you a little bit about him. He's served in the U.S. Navy actually. And he started investing in real estate about 13, 14 years ago, back in 2001. And within a couple of years, he was a top wholesaler in the Atlanta market. And he's been a small business owner. He's ran several businesses. He's even had a couple of hard money funds where he did hard money lending and created a fund for that. And he's not in Atlanta anymore. Now he's in Boca, down in Boca Raton, Florida. It's a beautiful area down there. And he operates Blue Clover Financial, and it's a financial services company that helps small businesses in all the different verticals get capital for their business, for the day-to-day operation, for real estate, or for whatever. So I guess I better check and see if he's on. Anthony, are you on the line?
I sure am.
What's going on, buddy? How have you been?
Oh, great. I love living here in South Florida. It's hot and warm every day, except when it's in summer when it rains a lot.
I hear you, man. That's beautiful. You're in a beautiful area down there. I love it down there in Boca. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is great.
It's great.
That's cool. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you made it, and I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you. I mean, I'll be here. I'll be chiming in, but I know you got a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm just going to let you kind of take it away and tell them a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
All right, well, Larry, thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction and allowing me to be here today. Yeah, as Larry mentioned, I'm just going to get right into it, really. And I just want to thank Larry for letting me come today and just talk to all of you. It's been a really big blessing for us. But I want to give you a little bit about me and my background, the good and the bad, because I think it's important to know who you're working with and develop a relationship with people that you decide or think about working with in the future. And so I just want to give you a little bit of my history. Now, at the end of all this, I'm going to ask you to, if you're interested and want to contact me and whatnot, to go to this website. It's larrygowens.bluecloverfinancial.com. But again, I'll present this later in the webinar. It's simply just a page for you to fill out a form so you can contact me and I can reach back out to you and connect. But one of the things I learned, and this is a quote I just really recently came across, is when you realize that no one really knows what they're doing in this world, and that everyone is doing the best they can according to their own level of consciousness, then life gets a lot easier. And that's kind of like what I've realized for myself. I've been through the ringer. I've had some great times, like I said, also some bad times. And once I realized that everyone's just really trying to do the best they can, things just got a lot easier for me, and my attitude changed, and I became a much happier person. So I just want to give you a little bit of my background. Like, as Larry said, I started in the real estate business around 2001. It was near the end of that year. I had recently come out of the military. I had a pretty nice run there as a nuclear reactor operator. It was a pretty difficult program I went through. Prior to that, I went to Penn State, And a few years after that, after I got out of the military, I actually finished up and got my math degree from Penn State. So I was always more technically oriented. I wasn't quite a salesperson in my earlier years. I was a very bookworm type of person. But I ran into this guy in Atlanta near the end of 2001 who taught me the business. We worked together side by side with a few other people you might know or heard of in the past. And it was really quickly, within a couple of years, we had a lot of success. I mean, we were flipping anywhere from 20 to 40 houses a month. It was just an incredible, unbelievable time. I mean, it was the first time in my life I ever made real money. I also didn't know how to handle it at the time, but it was just an exciting time for me. A few years went by where we ran along pretty successfully. That huge amount of success we had in 2003 that sustained itself for a short period of time started slowing down. I didn't understand why. I didn't really understand what the market was doing. I didn't understand market cycles or anything like that, but I knew that we had to change our business. So in 2005, we started talking about doing some new construction financing or actually new construction programs for investors. Rather than buying the old houses and trying to fix them up and make them look good or feel good, we said, hey, why don't we just sell a new product? And we found a lot of potential there, a lot more profit potential for us as well as for our clients who may or may not like the house once it's been renovated. Sometimes, you know, you always have issues sometimes with someone not quite always being happy with maybe the renovation job they got on a property, and that we didn't want to deal with that anymore. So we started this new construction opportunity. We had a lot of success in the beginning, pre-selling hundreds of new construction properties across the country. Coincidentally, we actually pre-sold a bunch of them in South Florida before I moved here. And at the time, we also were running a small hard money fund. And I knew really early on that we needed to be in control of the money in order to have a successful real estate business. We were at the mercy at that point, at that time, from all the other hard money lenders deciding whether they want to loan in that property or loan to that individual. And it made it very difficult to match up properties and people. So the new construction was very, very sexy, I guess you could say. And within, I don't know, about 6 months, we had pre-sold over 200 houses. And then we started trying to figure out how to really get them this conventional financing for the construction side. We didn't have a problem with the acquisition of the land. We could use a mixture of hard money as well as conventional loans. But during this time, there was a lot of changes and shifts happening in the banking industry, again, that we didn't understand. And all of a sudden, one day, our banks called us up, and we had never sold a piece of property to anyone that wasn't pre-approved for the acquisition and construction loan. But all of a sudden, at this moment, we found that the banks decided to change the criteria on us overnight. So every single person that was qualified for the acquisition and construction loan, the next day was not qualified anymore, and it destroyed us. It was an unbelievable a moment where I realized that every house and all this work we had put into for the last 6 months was now result into nothing. And we had raised a bunch of money for a small hard money fund where we had lent out on these properties to not only acquire them, but pay all the impact fees in order to get started and pay for the permits to get, really start moving dirt and start building. So we were out on the hard money side well over $1 million. And it was just a really difficult time for us. During that same year, shortly after that, I was going through a divorce. I was considering foreclosure on a couple of my properties. I had several properties. I ended up having to file bankruptcy later, but I lost my mom that year too. So it was just an incredibly difficult year for me. I was going through a lot of depression and after we couldn't get that project moving forward, I basically took a break. I didn't know what to do with myself. 2008, I decided to re-enter the real estate business, moved to South Florida for a brief time. We had some success. It wasn't incredible like it was in the past, and that kind of, again, was affecting my my emotions. I was, trying to get that big pump and that big feeling of huge success again that I had in 2003, and it just wasn't happening. So in 2010, I left real estate. I just felt beaten. It was, again, just a long few years. I was just not feeling my best. And then I started doing a few other things in the digital space, in marketing and learning about the markets and doing a lot of day trading. But in 2012, a new opportunity presented itself to become a hard money lender again. And I always knew that if I was in control of the money, I could be in control of the deals, and we could do well again in real estate. So I ended up relocating to Las Vegas, raised some money, started making some loans, and it was really, and again, it was starting to become a very exciting time again. I discovered another niche though, a niche where not only I could lend to real estate investors, and that was a difficult model because I was raising money on my own, but it was successful. But I actually started finding a better niche, and that's helping small businesses source additional capital for their operations, whether it was for real estate or a bakery, or let's say you wanted to buy a Subway franchise or whatnot. I found a way and connected with some people that helped me find some finance options, and there's a couple of them out there. One's called unsecured lines of credit, which I didn't really quite believe in the past because I'd been burned in 2006 when I was doing new construction, and I'll tell you that story in a minute. But in beginning of 2013, I refined those lending products and came out with two products that we now sell today, and it became the brand known as Blue Clover Financial. And this was really this is just a fun, useless fact. I want to take a break from what I was telling you about. Recently, it was earlier this year, I appeared on the Steve Harvey show. It was just a fun little side fact here, but if you stay through the end of the webinar, I'll share you the link with you, and you can kind of see that little clip from the Steve Harvey show. It's kind of fun and interesting. So I'm going to go back to what Blue Clover Financial is. So like I said, I had been burned in the past trying to secure some lines of credit for the construction company that we had back in 2006. And someone approached me and said, hey, I can help you, but you need to pay me a $25,000 retainer up front before I even get started. And he sold it to me as there's a lot of work to put the files together, that he has to move his staff around, he's got to spend a lot of time, and he's not quite sure that he'll be able to fund all the loans, but he knows he can fund at least 20% of them. So that was something that compelled me to say, yeah, let's go ahead and pay him the money up front for these loans. As you can guess, nothing happened from that point, and we didn't get our money back, and it was just a wasted money. It was $25,000 just blew out the door, and we didn't get any service for that. So again, that was another pretty big blow. I knew that I'd never again pay for someone to help me find money again in the future up front. So that was one thing that I wanted to really kind of drive home with, is I never wanted to be in a situation where I charged somebody up front for, let's say, some sort of financial services where I help them achieve financing. And that's really where Blue Clover started excelling, when we started telling people, hey, we're not going to charge you anything up front. And really, what is Blue Clover Financial? It's really more of a branded division of my company, ALR Consulting, which is originally formed in the state of Georgia. And all we do really is now is assist small businesses obtaining the capital they need. It's a great alternative for achieving startup capital, even if you don't have an existing business, but you're just starting up, or if you have an actual business that's been operating for a while, you just need additional funding. And there's another coined phrase that we like to say is, we always say yes when banks say no. So that's just something that we kind of coined recently. But there's two primary products. I'm only really going to talk about the unsecured business lines of credit today. That's a credit score driven only type of a product. The other product we have is called bank statement financing. This is really for businesses that have been in business for at least 6 months, that have about $10,000 a month in gross revenue or more. I'm not going to talk about bank statement financing right now, but we can save that for another time. But really want to focus on unsecured lines of credit, because that's something that it's the most popular service we offer today. And this is just really a term for a group of loans that are similar to credit cards that allow you to enjoy a lot of these benefits. No upfront fees, so we don't charge you anything upfront when you start working with us. We can fund the loan with as little as 10 business days. It usually takes 3 to 4 weeks, though. In extreme circumstances, we can get funding faster, but it's not typical. There's no income documentation required. That means you don't have to prove to me how much money you make. And the rates start as low as 0% for 6 to 24 months. And that ranges per credit line. We might have one credit line that has 0 interest for 6 months and another one 0 interest for 24 months. Typically, at the end of that introductory period, those rates will bump up to around 9.99%. That's a blended rate. That means some of the lines of credit might be around 8%, some of them might be around 12%. But if you add it all up together over the course of the entire amount of the loans, you won't exceed 9.99%. Right now, we say we can fund up to $180,000. That's per borrower. So you have 2 principals in the company. They could most likely achieve well over $350,000 in funding. But in a lot of the cases, if someone has incredibly strong credit and have a really long credit profile, we can sometimes actually exceed this. So that's not a cap. It's just roughly where we feel comfortable advertising our services at. There's no prior operating experience required. So if you're starting a new business, like I said, a startup, and you have absolutely no experience in it, that has absolutely no bearing on us, on our decision. And the last is that it's 100% uncollateralized. That's what unsecured means, that you don't need to put up collateral. If your business fails, the lenders that we work with aren't going to come after and take your home or your car away from you. These are completely signature-based loans. And what's the secret? We kind of talk about the money code and how we crack the code. And really, this is simply our relationships with over 24 lenders and private banks. But it's not only just those relationships, but it's the way in which we package those loans. We know in great detail from a lot of practice what lenders are really looking for and how to present your application to them so they get approved. And that's really our secret that we talk about, our secret money code that we've cracked. And right now we're roughly funding in our group about $2.5 million a month in unsecured lines of credit. So we definitely know it works. And again, like I said before, we say yes when the banks say no. And pretty much if you want to achieve a loan with us and you're willing to put the work in, it's not a matter if you can get the money, it's just a matter of when. And that's really what we kind of focus on. We want to work with individuals that either obviously can achieve funding quickly, or if they can't achieve funding quickly, we're not going to ignore you. We're going to work with you step by step and recommend services to you that aren't really affiliated with us. They're third-party services that you may need in order to achieve financing at some point in the near future. So how does this all work? Well, the first thing is you're really only required to fill out a short profile. It's an application. It's about a couple pages. All the information on the application, if you can't fill it, if you don't know it off the top of your head, then you don't have to worry about filling it in. And if you know your credit isn't quite up to par, let's say a 680 score or better, that's okay. I still encourage you to apply, because at least when you apply, we'll be able to get stipulations back and find out exactly what we need to do to move forward with you with funding. Additionally, if you have a person that's interested in maybe becoming a credit partner with you, we can partner you up with them and show you that they don't actually have to be in your company to be your credit partner. So you don't have to change your corporate documents around. You don't have to make them an owner. They can still be your credit partner. As long as somebody's willing to do it, they can help you greatly. Other sources of business lines of credit, like from your local bank or your small business administration, have pretty big requirements to apply for the loan. Like you'll have to give them tax returns, the last 6 months of bank statements, you have to prove your income, you have to give them profit and loss statements. All these details we don't require. And in a lot of cases, they want to see how you advertise your business as well. That's really a no bearing for the way we fund our loans. So that makes our process way easier than going to a bank. What are we looking for? Well, like I mentioned, the ideal scenario is great credit, right? So if you had a 720 plus credit score and you have some indicating factors, including some length of history and depth of your credit, like how much credit you've been able to handle in the past, that would make an excellent candidate. But even if you don't quite have that, it's okay. I worked with people with scores under 600 and eventually got them funding. And so don't be scared of this product if you feel like your credit's not that great. We can help you meet the requirements needed in order to achieve funding. What does funding look like? Well, once our underwriters have your application, within 2 to 3 days, we'll know exactly what we can do for you. We'll have the stipulations, any things that you need to accomplish before going to funding. And in a lot of cases, there's nothing that needs to happen. You can go to funding immediately. And then once you go into funding, within 3 to 4 weeks, you'll start receiving your lines of credit. And then we have a separate process called the liquidation phase, where we walk you through on every single line of credit how to convert that line of credit into cash into your business checking account. So it's not just, let's say, like a credit card where you have to swipe to use it. We actually convert that into cash money so you can use it for pretty much any purpose in your business. Funding usually occurs in multiple lines. So there'll be both not only personal lines of credit, but also business lines of credit. They will all be tied to your business, but they typically come with about a mixture of 40% to 60% personal and business lines. So it's really the blend of the group of lines of credit that establishes your total amount that you can achieve. And like I said before, your interest rate will be roughly just under 10%. Your blended rate should not exceed that. So like I mentioned before, there might be a couple lines of credit around 8% and a couple around 12%. But if you blend it all together, your interest across the whole line, all the lines won't exceed 10%. How much credit can you get? Well, most people, the average loan amount is around $70,000, and with about a 680 to 700 credit score. A lot of people around the 720s can achieve anywhere from $100 to $150,000. If somebody has a 750 credit score or better, in a lot of cases they can achieve $180,000 or more. And it's really what kind of sets us apart from other companies that do this business. A lot of the people are doing a lot of advertising out there right now for unsecured lines of credit, and they're really just looking for the cream of the crop. They're putting a lot of dollars out there for marketing. They actually charge people up front to try to replace those marketing dollars, and then they close the loans and ask for big fees on the back end as well. But what's really required to move forward? Well, if you have a business and an EIN number and you have the intent to use the money for your business, then you meet the general guidelines to be approved. If you don't have a business, then you can quickly incorporate, obtain your EIN number, open up a business checking account, really in 1 or 2 days. It's a very fast process. Those are the really only things you need when you want to apply with us. And how does it work? Well, you just fill out the application, and within 48 to 72 hours later, we'll have an approval back, and that's based on your credit profile. We'll have suggestions and recommendations for you to increase that credit line or that limit. But really, to get started, and if you really want to find out more detailed information, start receiving information from us and get a call from me directly, if you just go to larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com, fill out that form. I'll find time in the next week or week and a half to talk to you one-on-one personally. I'll actually make that call myself and find out what's going on, what you need the funds for, and walk you through the process pretty quickly to get started. If your credit score is not quite where it needs to be, we have third-party credit repair specialists I can refer you to. Their success rate is really high. I've only worked with these people because I see them do a lot of great work with others. And like I mentioned before, we also accept credit partners. They're kind of like co-signers, and they don't have to necessarily be a part of your company. I mentioned the funding process. It's what we call the liquidation process, and that usually it happens, like I mentioned as well, between 3 to 4 weeks. A lot of people ask me, is there a personal guarantee involved? Well, in terms of you signing on the dotted line, you are guaranteeing the lines of credit with your credit profile. However, there's not really any assets, or the loan's not collateralized. So it's similar to a credit card in your wallet. If you default on your credit card, they might send you a lot of nasty letters, they might ding your credit score, but they're not going to be able to come after your car or your house. They're not going to be able to take your items away from you. So this is a really incredible position to put yourself in. Yes, you are guaranteeing it with your credit profile, but you're risking your credit, not your personal assets, which to me makes this the most appealing type of loan available today. How will this affect your debt-to-income ratio? I get this question a lot, because if you're in the real estate business, you're buying houses and you're going to hold something long-term, you're going to want to put that property into maybe a conventional mortgage, right? Well, yes, initially it's going to look like your debt-to-income ratio, or how much debt you have versus how much money you make, is increased. But if you show whoever you're applying with for a conventional mortgage, if you show that the payments on those credit lines are coming out of your business account, this will actually alleviate that negative effect. And the lender, in most cases, will account for that and say, okay, this is actually a business debt. It's being paid by the business. We're going to decrease the debt-to-income ratio. So now you become a better qualified candidate to achieve that, let's say, that mortgage you're going for. Additionally, these business lines of credit, they actually start reporting to Dun & Bradstreet right away, and that gives your business a paydex score. And if you treat that credit line right, that paydex score will increase and build just like your personal credit score, and you'll very quickly be able to achieve additional funding in the future, not only from this process through unsecured lines of credit, but you'll be able to go directly to a bank with all of your information, and you'll paint a very, very positive picture in their mind to give you additional funding. So again, I'm personally offering you a free one-on-one consultation. In order, all you need to do to take advantage of this is to simply go to larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com, fill out the form, and I'll give you a call directly. You'll be able to talk with me for about 30 to 45 minutes. I want to really hear about your business, kind of the things that you've gone through, some successes. I definitely want to hear about some failures. I like sharing those. That makes us human. Yeah, I really would love to see you. So if you fill out that form at larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com, I would appreciate it. I'm sure Larry would too. Oh, well, I almost forgot this. I promised in the beginning that if you stayed to the end of the presentation, I was going to give you the other link to this fun little clip I had while I was on the Steve Harvey show. I'll just let you go there on your own and find out about it, and if you fill out the form and I talk to you about it later, we can have a little laugh. But it's forfun.bluecloverfinancial.com. It will redirect you to the YouTube video clip of me when I was on the Steve Harvey show. It's just a fun little clip. It has nothing to do with business.
Cool.
But again, I want to thank you, Larry.
Yeah, man.
Having me on.
I really appreciate you being on. We've got some questions that have come in, and guys, if you have more questions, just go ahead and type them in there. Do you mind, Anthony, taking a few questions right now?
Oh, sure, that's fine. Yeah, I'm here. So definitely want to answer as many questions as I can.
Okay, cool. Here's the first one here. This one's from Carl, and Carl says, does the business line show up under my business EIN even though my personal credit will be reviewed for approval?
Yes. So as I mentioned, there is going to be a mixture of some personal lines of credit as well as some business lines of credit, and that's about a 40-60 ratio. The business lines of credit will appear on your business's EIN or paydex score. So it will build your business credit. As well as your personal lines of credit, they will also build your business credit because they are technically in your business's name, You're simply putting your own credit profile up for as the collateral.
Right, right. You're using your own personal credit to qualify, but it's actually in the name of the business.
Exactly, that's correct.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. So I got another question here from Ramona, and Ramona says, "What does your credit score have to be?" Mine is around 720, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that if you're around 680, like that's like kind of like the cutoff. I don't want to make that the hard number because I've funded people with a little less credit scores, a little lower credit scores than that. But if you're at 680 or better, I'm very confident that you'll be able to achieve a line of credit with us around, let's say, 60,000 or more, depending on how much of depth of your credit profile exists.
Okay, cool, cool. Man, I got a bunch more questions coming in. How about this one from Mike? He says, can we consolidate present loans that are in our personal name? We use personal lines of credit because we have not yet established business credit.
Okay. The lines of credit can be achieved really for any purpose. So once you liquidate the cards, you could use that money to fund or pay off your other lines of credit. Yes, so you could use the money for that. It's really for any purpose that's legal.
Good, good. I like that you threw in there that's legal. That's good. That's good. Yeah, can I do that to make a drug run down to?
I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah.
Can I get an advance? Can I get an advance to lease that speedboat to take me down for a drug run? Yeah, just kidding, everybody.
That. Yeah, I guess that was popular here in the '80s in Miami, just a little further south of me.
Yeah, really, really. That's why they had the show Miami Vice, right?
Yep. I watched that show.
I used to love that show. That was a great show. Okay, here's one from William. How will the credit convert to cash to use for other purchases?
Okay, so once we achieve the lines of credit and they're achieved, we have what we call a liquidation process, and that's another proprietary type of process that we have that allows you to convert those lines into cash. So each line of credit is slightly different, and we have very specific ways to do that in every single line. No one line is the same, so we have, like I said, a separate process for each of that. And when you make an application and decide to move forward, I assign you an underwriter, and that underwriter will walk you through the process for each of those lines.
Cool, cool. Here's one here from Daniel. I have a Dunn's number, Dun and Bradstreet number, I guess. Will this help expedite the loan?
Yes and no. I mean, it depends what's on that Dunn's number. If everything's positive, then yes, it could be very beneficial for you. If there's anything negative on there, it could hurt you. So it's really not necessary to have it. If you think there's anything negative on that Dunn's number, my suggestion is to simply start a new business.
There you go.
Get a new IN number and use only your credit profile to move forward.
Cool. Here's one here from, let me move my mouse so I can see the name, Jerry. Jerry says, can you apply for only business lines of credit?
You can, but I wouldn't recommend it, because even if you only apply for your business lines of credit, it still will show up in your personal credit report just the same as it would if you achieved your personal lines of credit. So all the loans will appear in your personal credit report, whether they're business or personal, because your personal credit is the one that's acting as the guarantee, or is being used to establish the line.
Right, right. Good question. Here's a really good question.
And if I can just elaborate on that, if you
limit
yourself to only the business lines of credit, then all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot and saying, hey, I don't want the other money that's available. There's actually no difference in the personal lines of credit versus the business lines of credit. It's simply the name that the line of credit's under. So
there you go. And guys, you need to run over to LarryGoins.BlueCloverFinancial.com. and you can fill out a little form right there and apply right online, and Anthony will give you a call. Here's a really good question that I wouldn't have thought of, is my LLC's name implies the real estate industry, which I understand to be considered risky by banks. Do I need a new LLC or change the name of the LLC?
Nope, not at all. The our unsecured lines of credit product, it's your business that you're in matters not. So it could be real estate, it could be dog sitting, you could be basket weaving, you could be the next bank. It really has no bearing on these unsecured lines of credit. The bank statement financing product, I would say that yes, that there are some restrictions, but that's not really a topic for this today.
Oh, okay. Here's one. Michelle says, I know my credit score is 425. How can you help? Or how can I proceed, it actually says.
So the first thing I would do is I would definitely, again, I wouldn't discourage you to fill out the application. I would encourage you to do that because I want to find out why your score is that way. And then my underwriting partners, we will determine step by step what needs to happen to not only boost your score, but to achieve funding at some point in the future. And then from that point, once we have that pre-approval letter with the stipulations, I take all those stipulations and send them to your credit repair specialist, who will work with you to basically fix and clean up everything that needs to happen.
Great, great. Okay, how about this? This is from Eureka. Would it be possible to move a personal credit line onto a business line just in order to pay less interest?
Well,
I think what she means is pay off an existing line that is a higher rate with yours.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, once you achieve these lines of credit, they can be used for any purpose, whether that's to pay off a higher interest rate loan or to use it in your business for your daily operating cash flow to pay payroll or buy supplies or whatever it's needed for. It's really all up to you.
Cool. Do they have to be worried about commingling the money between business and personal?
That's how you operate your business. Your accountant or your lawyer would advise you, in my opinion, they would advise you to make sure that you do use all these funds for business purposes and have some sort of agreement in place if you do decide to use something for, like, let's say, a personal loan. But I would handle that in a professional way. I would definitely consult with a CPA or a lawyer on that.
Okay, cool. That's good. That's a good answer. Here's one from Jerome. How much weight do you put on the credit partner score if they're not a part of the business?
Equal amount of weight. So every single individual will achieve their own lines of credit, irregardless of the other person. So even though I call it a cosigner, you know, you might, let's say, be only able to get $60,000, but your credit partner can achieve $150,000. Well, we're going to achieve those lines of credit separately for the business and you, and then the business and your credit partner, and then together you'll have an aggregate amount that's, you know, more than what we started with.
Right. Right. Good. 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 Here's a good question from Sam. What is the cost of getting these lines, points to your company? I'm sure you make some points in a spread, but I'll let you explain that.
Yep. So on the back end, once the lines of credit are achieved, our underwriting partners will charge, or the performance fee is 9.99% of whatever amount is achieved, right? Blue Clover will retain a portion of that, and my underwriting team will retain a portion of that. It's 50-50, and but that's the fee. So it's basically just under 10% of whatever loan amount we can get for you.
Good, good. How important? Oh, this is from Terry. How important is it to have an LLC in place in order to get a good opportunity for business credit lines?
Well, whether you have a LLC or an S corp or a partnership or incorporated, the entity type isn't really that important as long as you have an entity. If you've registered yourself as a sole proprietor, then and you don't, you know, I'm not again, this is probably something you probably want to talk to an accountant with, or on how to form your company, but the actual entity type is not that important as long as you have an entity for your business.
And here's a follow-up from Terry is, I did a Chapter 7 a year and a half ago. My FICO is 644. Do I have a chance?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone does. Today it's an equal playing field. Just about everybody has gone through some credit challenges. I've had everything happen to me. There's not one thing you could say that I have not experienced myself. So, and I was able to recover fairly quickly. So it's not the end of the world if you file bankruptcy or had a foreclosure or repossession or collections. All those things can be eventually made better or resolved.
Great. Here's one from Adam. Do we need to utilize the entire line, or can we hold some in reserve so we're not paying interest on the full amount? I think, you know, I know the answer to this, but they don't have to draw down on it until they're ready to use it, right?
True. That's correct. They don't need to. I recommend that you draw it all down immediately, though, and this is why. You don't have any interest accruing for the first 6 to 24 months, so at least for this first 6 months, that's free money. Anything could happen those 6 months, and once you achieve a line of credit, that doesn't mean that that line of credit will remain that limit. The banks and lenders can maybe change the terms on you, not the actual interest rate, but they can change the amount they've approved or given you at their discretion at some point in the future. So
right.
Once you achieve the line of credit, my recommendation is draw it all down immediately. If you don't need it within 6 months, pay back whatever portion you didn't need. It's free money. Why have it as an available line of credit when you can have it in your bank account sitting there, maybe earning you interest?
That's good. That's good. You know, guys, go over to larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com and fill out the little form there, and Anthony will give you a call. Man, here's a great question from Steven. Steven's really thinking. I like this. Could I use this money to loan out to other real estate investors, and do you require monthly payments?
Okay, so yes and yes. Again, you can use this money for any purpose that you could think of that's legal. So if you want to take this capital and reloan out to others, go for it. That's exactly what I was thinking when I first discovered this whole niche product. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in the hard money lending business. I can borrow more money at a lower interest rate, leverage that money, and then I can, in other technical ways with banks, you can grow that money into larger amounts and then lend it out, and now you're making a spread on what you're paying versus what you're lending to get out. Yeah, absolutely, that's great business.
There you go.
Yeah,
that was good. That was really good. That was good. I got two questions here.
The other question was, I'm sorry, the other answer to the question was, is there monthly payments? Yes. Just like your credit card, you have monthly payments due. There's a minimum monthly payment due every month based on whatever outstanding credit line you've drawn down on, and it's determined by each individual credit. But they're small amounts that should be manageable if you have a viable business.
And here's a similar one from Ed: is what's the typical minimum payment?
That's a good question. It could be anywhere from 1.5% to 3.5% of the outstanding balance. So it really depends on your situation. It depends on the line of credit. So if you have, let's say, $100,000 and you've drawn it down, your payment could really range from anywhere $1,000 a month to $3,500 a month. I would say the average is probably under 2%, 2% per month. But it's very similar to how a credit card works. However they calculate those minimum monthly payments, it's a very similar calculation.
Cool. That's good. Here's kind of a similar, but I got a couple people asking, how much is the fee, and what is the upfront fee?
Okay. Well, we never charge any money upfront. So we'll work with you until you achieve a line of credit. Once you achieve the line of credit, the cost of the money, the fee you pay us, is 10% of whatever loan amount we've provided you, right? So that fee you don't pay that until you actually get your money, your cash money into your account. So I'm not going to charge you a fee if you haven't received the cash in your account yet. You might have gotten the line of credit, but if I haven't helped you draw that money down into your account, I'm not charging you. So you literally have no money out of pocket for anything we provide you, any service we provide you until you achieve funding. And that's really the beauty here. There's other companies that do this. There's a lot of companies that charge money up front, anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000. And it's performance-based. So they'll say, hey, if you want $100,000, you pay me $1,000, or if you want $300,000, pay me $5,000 up front. I don't believe in that model. That's, to me, that's not very transparent, because you have no idea how much money you're going to achieve until you actually achieve it. To charge somebody up front for something they haven't received yet, that doesn't make sense to me, especially if they need the money. If you need the money, why am I charging you to help you get money that you need? Again, it's a disconnect in my mind.
And it just makes sense too that, I mean, you want them to use the money, so you want them to go out and make investments, because when they have an investment that they're using it for and making money with, that's when you make money.
Exactly. You know, I don't. So our model has been like that. We're never going to change it. It's just the way I believe in it. There's other companies that charge a little less. There's a lot of companies that charge a lot more. So you'll find, if you find out there's competitors out there will charge maybe 8% of the total loan amount or 15%. There's a lot of range there. But what makes us different is we work with you all the way to the end if you still want the money, no matter how long it takes, we're going to keep working with you until we achieve money for you.
Right.
Additionally, we have probably the most amount of sources and available funds than anyone else. I've talked to a lot of other competitors. They don't have as many resources as we do. They certainly don't have the underwriting process down like we do either. And a lot of companies, they're simply reselling other people's services. So, you know, I'll be up in front and honest with you who I work with, because I've developed that company from scratch. But yeah, it's all about your underwriting partners and the people actually pushing the paperwork. Who are they? How good are they? How knowledgeable are they about the business? Anyone can figure out how to start writing unsecured lines of credit, but how do you really get the maximum amount? And also, how do you get the most number of approvals in a short period of time? That's really where the code or the crack, the secret is.
There you go. Well, I got a few more here. I want to kind of run through them so we can get to all of them. But
okay.
The first one here is, let's see, this is from May out in Hawaii. She has 2 LLCs and a C Corp. Which one would be best to apply under, or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. Personally, for me, I just prefer, in my opinion, I prefer LLCs. I think they're a little easier to operate until you get to the time where you have a really big business and have a reason to maybe incorporate and actually have stock and shares and all that. Then,
right.
then you can convert over. But again, that's something for your CPA or your lawyer to talk with about.
There you go. How many inquiries are going to show up on their credit report? This is from Adam.
Initially, none. We have a process where we have you create a profile on a website called creditchecktotal.com. It's run by Experian. They're by far the best personal credit monitoring service out there. And what we do is we use your login information to pull your credit, so it's not considered a hard pull. We'll use that credit profile. Yeah, we use that credit profile to underwrite the loan and then submit to our lending partners. Those individual lenders, they may choose to pull your credit, but because you're in the process of actually achieving the loan, and they're happening within a short period of time, all those inquiries will really only affect you as maybe one inquiry over the course of 30 to 60 days. So that decision doesn't really get made until you decide to go for it and actually, hey, yes, I want you guys to move forward and give me money, right? That doesn't happen until after the approval process. So, and even then, we haven't pulled your credit yet.
Cool. Here's one here from HR. And if your company has 3 people, I'm assuming like 3 managing members or 3 shareholders, do all 3 have to have their credit checked?
They only need to if they each want to achieve the line of credit. So if only one person wants to be the individual that applies, so be it. If you have more people, that just means you can achieve more money.
Cool. What about non-U.S. residents?
Okay, so I've had this happen in the past. I was hoping that we were able to do it, but unfortunately, unless you have a U.S. Credit score, a USA credit score based Social Security number, then we wouldn't be able to help you. It has to be, you have to have a U.S. credit score with credit profile in order for us to achieve. Now, you don't have to be a U.S. citizen, but as long as you have a credit score based in the U.S. that we can measure, then we can help you.
Okay,
if you don't, then I would suggest needing to build some credit in the United States.
Okay, good. Here's some that I'm trying to answer some of these that we've already gotten. Maybe they missed it. But here's one. I'm an American citizen who lives out of the country most of the year. But I do real estate transactions over the internet. Is it a problem that I work out of the country? Do I need to be in America to take advantage of this program?
It's not a problem. You do not need to be here. Since you come back frequently, if you already have a business established and has a U.S. address and a U.S. bank account, then that's really all you need. You don't physically need to be here.
Okay, cool. We're going to have to run through these because I got a live radio interview coming up in just a few minutes that I have to be on. This radio show wanted to interview me, and somehow we got double booked. So,
oh wow.
Let's see here. Could the payments come out of the funds initially procured? In other words, could you draw down on the line and then use the line to make the payments if you haven't invested it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
cool.
Once you have that capital, that's your cash to use how you choose.
My wife, here's one from Mike. My wife is my only business partner in our two LLCs. Her financial profile is impeccable, whereas mine has challenges. Are we better off applying separately or together?
When you apply with us, everything stays in-house until we know what the situation is. And so it's best for you to apply together, and then we'll tell you if we need to separate you.
That's cool. So you can help them decide.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So when they draw down on the money, they're going to pay 10 points or 10% and then a 9.9 interest rate. Is that correct?
So, yep, that's
cool.
basically an APR.
All right, good. What is the maximum term length of time for use of the money borrowed? What's the maximum term? This is from Don.
There is no maximum term. It's like a revolving line of credit. So as long as you have it available and you're making your minimum monthly payments, that line of credit should always be available to you. And if you treat it well, it should grow.
Does the fee need to be paid right away or included in the loan? In other words, say if they draw down $10,000, are you going to give them $9,000?
You're going to draw down $10,000, and then we're going to ask you to pay us the fee once you get the money.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And guys, this is not uncommon, so it's not anything out of the ordinary. Here's one from George. If you use the loan money to pay off credit cards, how will that affect your credit rating? It'll probably help your credit score go up if you pay it down on your credit cards. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And initially, when you achieve a line of credit, your credit score drops a little bit, but then once you start making payments, your score starts increasing quickly. If you pay down some longer-term loans you've had out there, then again, yeah, your score should start increasing even faster.
Good. Okay, cool. So it should help your score. Okay, I'm going to see here if I can get some more on here before we got to go. Do you require a direct draw from the business account in order to get your payments? In other words, do you require a draft from their checking account for your payments?
The payment that you pay to us, our fee, our performance fee, we do ask you to pay through like an ACH type of a debit transaction into the account, from the account that we transfer the money to for the loan. But
right.
The payments you make monthly is however you choose how to make those payments.
So the 10% is paid at one time, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's see. Do we make payments to each lender of the loan? Do we make payments to each lender of the loan, or they make them to you or who?
You make them to each of the lenders, yes.
Okay. Okay, there you go. Guys, run over to larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com to get more information. Will it matter if I have another company similar to yours?
No, it won't. If
No.
you have another company similar to mine, you're generating lots of leads, I'd love to talk to you.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, I have a Social Security number. Okay, cool. Ramona does have a Social Security number. So she's in good shape even though she's out of the country. Okay, what's the most that you lend? What's the biggest loan amount?
We recently did a loan amount. It was $210,000 for one person. I had another business that I had 3 individuals, each qualify for $150,000 apiece.
Cool.
So that was pretty high. That was the highest one I've seen in one entity so far. I have a group of lawyers that are going through it. Are hopefully going to be achieving a lot more than that, but I don't. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay, here's a question here. Do you have a website where we can get more info? Yes, larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com.
Yep.
That's on your screen.
Yeah, you'll get an email with everything you need, the application process, the application itself, all the information on the company and videos, everything. So.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. I'm going to take 1 or 2 more, and then I got to jump on this other call. This is a great question from George. Is it a fixed rate or adjustable?
That is, it depends. Most of them are fixed rates. There might be a few adjustables, but they're going to range. They're going to be in a cap around the 8 to 12%.
And it's probably going to be determined on what they can qualify for, really.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, let's see. My FICO is 644, but my Experian is 610. Can there be a disconnect? Just take just a few seconds to answer that, if you will, if you don't mind, though.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's certain things reporting on one report that's not in the other. We need to take a look at to determine what's really happening. I'd probably recommend credit repair there just to clean everything up.
Awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you so much. Run over to larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com. And Anthony, thank you so much for sticking around and answering all these questions. I hate to have to go, but I got to call into a radio show.
No, I understand, Larry. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
No problem at all. I'm really glad to have you and glad to hang out and introduce you to my students, and I hope you get a lot of business out of it and you help them go out and get some money so they can go out and do some deals and make some money. So with that, thanks everybody for being on. I really, really appreciate it, and be sure and go to larrygoins.bluecloverfinancial.com, okay?
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.